What's up, everybody? It's time for the weekend review. Doing a little ES futures today. And last week was a trip. And in fact, the past couple weeks have been a trip. So what you're looking at here is my weekly TPO on the right-hand side and my daily ETH chart on the left. The ETH chart is what runs all the time. So as you know, I look at both the RTH and ETH chart. RTH chart is for cash session only. So in this example, we're going to look at this. This TPO, so this is 2 weeks. So the reason I put these together was because they had overlapping value areas. So we have this 2-week composite. Then this was last week, okay? So we've been balancing essentially in each other's balance areas or value areas for the past 3 weeks. As you can see, last week they opened up right here and were able to hold that 2-week composite value area low. And they essentially pushed all the way up and then just sat in here and balanced, okay? So again, 3 weeks of just kind of coiling and building. And the ES is going to make a move here soon. There's no question about it after 3 weeks of sitting in the same spot. Now, which way we go, it's hard to say. But we're going to default with trend, at least for now. So what I wanted to show you was really interesting because they're really not giving us a super clear direction. This is 2 weeks, and this is the 2-week point of control. This is last week, and then guess what? Here's last week's point of control. So we have literally, we balanced for 3 weeks in the same spot. We have 3 overlapping POCs. I mean, talk about just, undecision and quite fuckery, and sitting right in the middle of what's cracking here. So from a profile perspective, though, and we're going to get into this when we get into the candlestick charts, we need a breakout above 59.34 for a move higher, okay? That is just how it is. And unfortunately, things do get a little weak underneath the value area low for the previous week, but it's not as bad. I will show you when we get to the candlestick charts. They really want to hold somewhere down underneath the 65 areas down here, still at this previous value area low. So, but from a breakout perspective for the move up, we need to pop this 59.34 area. Now, you can see here this daily ETH. We came down and we played the daily on Friday, and they got a hell of a pop. Okay, really nice move here. But again, we're just kind of just chilling. So one of the things I do want to show you, and I'm not a huge moving average guy, but I do pay attention to the 200s and the 100s and obviously the monthly VWAP. And as you can see, all this stuff, even the 20, we're moving up. No question about it. These moving averages are pointed up. The monthlies pointed up. The weeklies are pointed up. The 200, the 100, it's all looking up. So just using the high time frame stuff in Confluence, it certainly seems as if we could continue to push higher. Now, will that happen? I don't know. The big level that we need to get above to move higher is this daily here at 59.30, and that coincides with our previous weekly value area high for the at 59.34. So all that makes sense and it comes together. Okay, so that is essentially what we need to do to move higher. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly, the RTH weekly and RTH daily, and kind of walk it down from there. So if you recall what I just said previously when we looked at that value area low, the weekly value area low, we were right around 58.60, 58.65. And lo and behold, this is the big weekly we have at 58.64.75. Call it 58.65, okay? So this is the level that they really want to stay above to continue our move higher, okay? Obviously, the more they stay above certain levels of support, the better. But this is the lower end of our range right here, 58.64. In our current move right now, we really want to use this 58.86.25 as our line in the sand for a momentum shift. We really want to stay above this. And when I go into the candlesticks, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, 59.55 is technically an untested daily up here. Can it smack? It certainly could. But I am really kind of looking at as a target. Okay. It's not my favorite. I don't love it, but it is certainly there. Okay. And I won't count it out. Right. It's also yesterday's high as well, or I should say Thursday's high, real close to it. Okay. So keep an eye on this area here. Now, below 58.86 from a daily perspective, right, we could slip all the way down into 58.28. We really want to hold this area too. This is the top of that big leg down, okay? Very, very, very important. If we end up getting below the 58.17, which is no doubt tested, we have all these, we have this weekly here at 17, we have this daily here at 17, And then we have another weekly right over here at 58.11 that unfortunately is already tested. Okay, so we don't really get into anything that's untested until we get all the way down here at 57.84. And this daily did not gain. So I may be looking at this area for a reaction, especially because we have the weekly at 82.50. So we've got a lot of things lining up there. The 100-day moving average is really close at 57.92.28. And then we have an untested 4-hour down there at 57.74, which I'll show you soon. So I do think this area can get some liquidity. However, I am not excited with the way that, we made a pop up. We got smacked. You can't see it right here, but let me go ahead and just turn this on for you. Kind of something I was looking at, which made me a little cautious on Friday, but they obviously bought this back up for the end of the month. So we made this huge pop up. We smacked this big weekly area here, a monthly area that is essentially the monthly leg down. We came all the way back down, found support on this 57.82, and popped all the way back up and couldn't make a new high and couldn't close higher than this 72 area, which immediately kind of gave us this little sell-off. So they need to pretty much immediately reclaim this area, and that's why I said I'm a little sketched out about this area down here, or even this area here if they were to make it there, just because once we get below this 64, this 64 is this leg to the all-time high. Once we get below that, we got a serious problem. Okay, so when we go into the smaller candles, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, but that's how that works. So just from a daily perspective, and let me go ahead and hide this again. From a daily perspective, if we get below the 28.17, we come down here and test this 84. I don't love this 84, but again, if we were to sweep down there, the next daily in our progression is the 53. And technically, in my opinion, the 53 looks pretty much tested. This was the sweep lower before this huge pop up, and so this daily right here, even though it's untested on the RTH chart, was tested on ETH. And so I mean, again, like I said, once you get underneath this 28, you got a serious problem here, and it's really 86 for that matter. And I guess let me just kind of clarify, it's really the 64 weekly. Okay, so when we go into the smaller candle time, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, but that is our daily. So we want to stay above our 58.86.25 for our high time frame line in the sand to kind of get that momentum, and then really hold the 58.64.75 for our above below. Okay, just super important to have these levels to monitor for progression. And then on the upside, the 59.30 on the daily is what we're looking to get above. Okay, and then like I said, it's the previous weekly value area high. So let's go ahead and pull over the 4-hour candle just to show you what's cooking here, and I think that's a good place for us to go. So here we go. So as you can see, we popped up, we played this 01 on last Wednesday, and we pulled back. Okay, and we've played this 86, and they played this 91, and now they came down, and this is what they played on Friday. They played this daily at 56. You could also say they kind of held and swept this weekly and reclaimed, and did a fantastic job. Again, it stopped at the 59.30 area. So if you think about what happened here, we went from this daily at 56 to this daily at 30. So we went from daily to daily. Okay, so now we're just sitting here chilling, and they need to figure out how to get above or below one of these two levels. So you can see from a 4-hour perspective, this is the previous weekly value area high. We need to get over this. This 55 is some resistance that's in our face. Don't love it, but it's there. And then we've got the 59.72 is major RTH weekly and monthly resistance. Okay, and then directly above that, we've got an ETH monthly at 59.82 and a daily at 59.82. Technically, these levels are still untested again. Again, like I said, not sure how much I'd be looking to, front run these to get short, etc. The possibility for a smack is there, and so I'll be looking at all of them for a potential reaction. But right now I'm still going with trend. So even though the 4-hour has lost technically, and the daily did not gain, this was a pretty strong close on Friday. It got us back over the support that was lost on the 4-hour. So I am still technically looking for more up right now. Okay, if they end up moving higher than the 59.82.25, which is the the monthly, the ETH monthly, and also an ETH daily. We do have a 4-hour untested level, which is essentially a massive high loss. I like this area for a potential short, 59.99.25. It's a great spot that we distributed on Wednesday in Globex, and then they came screaming down on Thursday's session. So this area is primed for the smack, and then you have this weekly at 6,001.75 for confluence. Okay, now let's talk about where we're at right now. Okay, so looking at this, if we're going to continue to buy this move, right, we have a couple areas that really need to play. Okay, we have 58.91.75, which is the current leg up here. I like this 4-hour. It's been reset. And you also have the 4-hour at 58.86 here that I think is a phenomenal area to lean on. Okay, we talked about how this was our big above below area here, and then if they do move lower, they technically left the 4-hour at the lows untested. We have 58.69, which came from over here, and then the current 4-hour at 58.65 that runs with our big weekly that I said was super duper important to stay above at 58.64.75. I want to see this area hold if we come down in here, and quite frankly, I would prefer to see the 91.75 hold. You know, if we were to pull down in here, I'd probably be a little nervous. If we could just pull down in here and pop, it looks a lot better from an aspect of holding all this congestion here and then going. Okay, so you got to remember, the more levels we get below, the harder it has to work to get back above. Okay, so the more we can hold, the better. So, and that kind of leads me down here, like, if we end up getting below the 58.64.75 weekly and ultimately the 58.56.75 daily that we played on Friday, we do come down in here to this untested daily at 58.28.75, and you can see it played right here, perfect, and got a nice little pop, and it very well could play again. You got the monthly VWAP down here, you got the 20-day moving average, the 200-day moving average is super close at 58.27.29, but again, if we play this, we've got to get back above our 58.64 again before we continue to move higher above 86, etc., above 59.30. So, the more levels that they get below, the harder it is for the bulls to continue to make that step up. And so that's what I say, that I really want to see 91 hold. I would still be interested in the 65, 69 area, 58, 65, 69. But again, I really want to see the 91 hold. It just looks like the right spot to me. And there's a lot of confluence there. So, as we move lower, like I said, we got the 58.28.75. That is the only untested thing here. I have these massive weeklies at 58.17, which are legs to the all-time high. Another one at our current leg up is at 58.11. That didn't gain. All this area is tested to me. So underneath 58.07, it gets super hairy. And then right here, here's the leg up. Right here, 57.84. Again, no gain. So if we come all the way down here, will I buy this? Maybe, more than likely, because we do have the weekly here as well at 82 and a fresh untested 4-hour at 57.74.75. But your target's got to be the 07 and the 17, because now you have a monster hurdle to get over before you can get back above 28 and get back above 56 and get back above 65. It's just a Herculean thing that needs to happen. And so, the lower we get below our levels, the more we have to continue to cut our runners or take our targets at every major former area of support that is now resistance. So down here, you can see this is the 57.53 that I said was tested during the ETH session. And it was, but they didn't test it on the cash session. So I left it untested, even though I'd be extremely leery about taking that. And then ultimately, we just really got to look out, because below this 57.82 area, right, this weekly spot, we can slip below the 57.40 significant weekly and come down here and fill this gap and play this 57.11 area. Okay, we've got a cluster of 4 hours at 57.15.75 and 57.03.50, and the daily is at 57.11.50. And so I like this area. I would definitely buy this area, but then it has to get back above 40, because 40 is our next significant weekly that caused the pop here for the move up. So if we do come in here and play this 11.15 area or 3.15 area, whatever, then we have to watch to get back above 40. Once you get back above 40, we'll start to squeeze. But you just got to kind of keep using all these former levels as stair steps and things to get above or below. So that pretty much does it for us here. I'm going to go ahead and pull over the 1 hour just so we can get a little bit more granular view. I actually like my 1 hour a lot. I got a really nice kind of feel to it. So, and I'm just going to walk through this. We just did this 59.30. That's what we need to get up. 55 would be our target, and then 82 and 72, okay? Then lo and behold, 89 to the upside. Here's the 58, 91, 75 4 hour. Love this, lots of touches, lots of reason to buy this, okay? And then we lean on the 58, 86, 25. If that doesn't work, they come down here to play the 69, 65, and I would be a little bit leery from here, but you'd want to see it get back above the 86 to know that you're on the right side of this trade, okay? And then, like I said, below the 56 or below the 65 area, you come down and you start to test this 28 spot, which, as you can see, once you're below this, which we just swept on Friday and they reclaimed, this thing's in trouble. So we know we want to see it get above. It certainly looks like it's trying to continue to build volume and find acceptance here, which is big because that is what the ES does. The ES will ramp. It'll have an extremely hard rally. It'll sit sideways, kind of digest the move. Bigger players accumulate positions, and then they make the next move up. And as you can see, let's just talk about this just talk about that. So you make this big move up, and then you just kind of move sideways. And once they accept value in here, then they move up again. And so that is what I foresee happening. We know the levels that we have to get above or below, and so that should make our life pretty easy. That is what I got for you guys on this Sunday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you on the battlefield. Cheers.